The crystalline doors of the Grand Council chamber opened with a sound like breaking glass. Ambassador Marcus Webb stepped through, and the noise hit him like a physical force. 17,000 alien beings filled the massive space, their voices creating a wall of sound that echoed off walls made of compressed starlight. Some delegates floated in energy fields. Others stood on platforms adjusted for their specific gravity needs. A few existed as clouds of gas contained in transparent spheres. Marcus walked alone to the center platform. His footsteps echoed despite the noise. Above him, holographic screens displayed Earth's location, human colony worlds, and military vessel designs. The charges glowed in letters 3 meters tall, translated into every language simultaneously. Unauthorized expansion. 7 colony worlds established without council permission. Military weapons constructed during first contact protocols. Refusal to submit to council authority. High Arbiter Velen materialized at the head of the chamber. The being had no solid form, just geometric patterns of light that pulsed with different colors. When Velen spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Human Marcus Webb, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer for your species. 3 years ago, our scouts discovered your world. Since then, you have expanded aggressively into space. You have built weapons. You have refused our guidance. Explain yourself. Marcus looked up at the Arbiter, then slowly scanned the sea of alien faces around him. Some looked curious. Most looked hostile. A few looked hungry, like predators sizing up prey. High Arbiter, Marcus said, his voice amplified through the chamber systems. I cannot explain actions my species did not take. We established colonies on worlds we surveyed and found uninhabited. We built defensive capabilities after unknown vessels appeared in our space without warning. We did what any intelligent species would do when encountering the unknown. We prepared. A reptilian delegate near the front rose to his feet. Forearms gestured wildly. Prepared? You destroyed our peaceful probe. We came in friendship, and you responded with violence. Representative Krull, your probe transmitted our exact coordinates across open channels for 6 months. Marcus replied calmly. It broadcast our location to anyone listening. When we asked it to stop, it ignored our requests. We made a choice to protect our home. You had no right, Krull hissed. We had every right, Marcus countered. Your probe violated our space. Would you accept an unknown device orbiting your homeworld, transmitting your location to potential threats? The chamber erupted in arguments. Aliens shouted in hundreds of languages. The translation system struggled to keep up. High Arbiter Velen's form flashed bright red. Silence fell instantly. Enough. Human Marcus Webb, the Council has reached a decision. Your species will disarm completely. You will accept Council governors on all your worlds. You will relocate your colonies to approved zones. Failure to comply will result in containment. We will seal your solar system and ensure you never threaten galactic peace again. Marcus reached slowly into his jacket. Every weapon system in the chamber activated instantly. Energy shields materialized. Armed security drones swarmed closer. He carefully pulled out a small data chip and held it up. Before you pass final judgment, I need to show you something. My government asked me to present this information if negotiations failed. He looked directly at Velen. You've been asking the wrong question. Everyone here wants to know if humans are dangerous. But no one has asked why we built weapons so quickly. Why a species barely 3 years into space travel already has military capabilities that concern a council 50,000 years old. He inserted the chip into the chamber's central console. The holographic displays shifted, showing a star map. Multiple delegates leaned forward, confused expressions visible across dozens of alien faces. "This is Earth's night sky from 400 years ago," Marcus explained. "Before space flight, before we left our planet. These are the stars our ancestors saw." He pressed another command. Several stars on the map vanished. Others appeared where none had been. Over 2 centuries, 73 stars disappeared from our sky. Not from natural causes. They were extinguished deliberately. We tracked the pattern. It's moving, and it's heading toward this region of space. The chamber exploded with noise. Delegates shouted accusations. Some called the data fabricated. Others demanded verification. "You're lying," Crawl roared. "This is a trick to avoid judgment." "Check your own astronomical records," Marcus challenged. "We already transmitted the coordinates. You'll find the same thing we did. Something has been killing stars for at least 1,000 years. Something is out there building a fleet. And every species using faster-than-light travel is broadcasting their location to it." Before anyone could respond, alarms shrieked through the chamber. The holographic displays flickered, then showed the exterior of the council station. A ship had just arrived, emerging from FTL space directly outside the station. It violated every approach protocol and council law. The ship was massive, dark gray with angular surfaces that seemed to absorb light. Weapon ports covered its hull. Energy readings made every sensor scream warnings. It was a human warship, and it appeared alone. "That is the Harbinger," Marcus said into the shocked silence. "Its captain has information about what we found 20 light years beyond our furthest colony. Something you all need to hear." The communication channels crackled. A woman's voice filled the chamber, tight with stress and exhaustion. "This is Captain Ava Reeves of Earth Defense Ship Harbinger. I am requesting immediate emergency council session. We have made contact with static cut her off." The transmission died. On the view screens, the Harbinger's lights flickered. Energy discharges sparked along its hull. Then it began transmitting something else. Not words. Pure mathematical data streamed across every screen, and the chamber got an insectoid delegate named Nishol stood abruptly, her mandibles clicking rapidly as she processed the information. "This is impossible. This proof demonstrates that FTL travel creates a trackable signature across unlimited distance. Any species using FTL drives can be located by—" Her voice dropped to a horrified whisper. "We are all visible. Everything with an FTL drive is broadcasting its position to whatever is out there." Marcus turned slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. 73 confirmed sites where stars have been harvested. Sphere constructs surrounding each one. Millions of vessels docked at each sphere. All dormant. All waiting. And now they know where we all are. Representative Crawl opened his mouth, then closed it. His hostile expression had transformed into something else. Fear.High Arbiter Velen's geometric form pulsed through several colors rapidly. "This council will reconvene in 1 hour. Representative Webb, you and Captain Reeves will present your full evidence." The Arbiter paused. "And we will discuss Earth's defensive capabilities. It appears we may need them." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. The trial had just become a negotiation, and humanity had just become indispensable. Lyra stood at the observation window of her species' diplomatic quarters, watching the chaos unfold in the Grand Council chamber below. At 23 years old by human measurement, she was the youngest council representative in recorded history. Her people, the Velothi, were known as historians and record keepers. Their minds could store vast amounts of information, processing data faster than most computer systems. She had prepared a speech for today, a warning about humanity and their aggressive expansion into space. Now, watching the human warship suspended outside the station and seeing the panic in the council chamber, her carefully written words felt meaningless. Your research was thorough. The voice behind her made Lyra spin around. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood in the doorway of her private quarters. I read your report to the Council. You documented every concerning thing about humanity. Our military buildup, our territorial expansion, our refusal to submit to authority. Lyra felt her skin shift through several colors, an involuntary emotional response her species could not fully control. How did you get past security? I asked politely, Marcus said, stepping into the room. Your guards were very helpful once I explained I needed to speak with you privately. He moved to stand beside her at the window. You were going to give a speech today about how dangerous humans are, how we show signs of aggression and paranoia disproportionate to actual threats. All true, Lyra said, recovering her composure. Your species met peaceful first contact. The Novari probe that discovered you was unarmed. It transmitted friendship. You destroyed it and stole its technology. Also true, Marcus agreed. We are not proud of that decision. But the probe was broadcasting our location continuously, transmitting Earth's coordinates to anyone listening. We could not allow that to continue. The probe was following standard protocol. All discoveries are logged with Council databases. Lyra stopped, understanding flooding through her. You already knew something was out there. Even 3 years ago, you knew. Marcus nodded. We have known for 400 years. We just did not know what it was. When an alien probe appeared and immediately started broadcasting our location, we made a difficult choice. The Novari are peaceful. We regret destroying their probe, but we could not risk whatever is out there finding us before we were. Ready to defend ourselves. Before Lyra could respond, the room's communication system activated. Captain Ava Reeves appeared on the screen, a young woman with dark hair and exhausted eyes that had seen something terrible. Ambassador Webb, I have clearance to brief Council research personnel. Representative Lyra has the necessary security authorization. She should hear this. They all should, but the High Arbiter wants verification first. Proceed, Captain, Marcus said. The screen shifted to display sensor readings and astronomical data. A massive structure appeared, constructed in deep space far beyond any settled system. It surrounded what had once been a star. The star was dark now, completely enclosed by the sphere. This is Sector 447, Ava explained. 3 weeks ago, Harbinger detected gravitational anomalies during patrol. We investigated and found this. A sphere construct surrounding a dead star, harvesting all its energy output. Lyra felt her mind processing the implications automatically. The energy requirements for such construction would be astronomical. The industrial capacity needed would require harnessing an entire star's output, Ava confirmed, which is exactly what it does. But this is not just an energy collector. It is a weapon platform. We count 14 million individual combat vessels docked at this facility, each one approximately the size of a Council battlecruiser. 14 million, Lyra whispered. This is construction site 73, Iva continued. We have confirmed that number based on the star disappearance pattern humans tracked. Each sphere takes between 200 and 300 years to complete. Once finished, it goes completely dark, undetectable unless you know exactly where to look. Marcus turned to Lyra. Now imagine you are humanity. You have just discovered faster-than-light travel. You look at your night sky and realize stars are vanishing in a pattern. You calculate that something is systematically harvesting stellar energy and building a fleet that has been growing for at least 1,000 years. What would you do? Lyra's skin had gone pale gray. We would prepare defenses, build weapons, develop military capabilities. She looked at him. You were not being paranoid. You were being realistic. Why didn't you tell the Council immediately? Lyra asked. Why wait 3 years? Because we needed proof, Keva said from the screen. And because we needed to know if the Council would listen. If we had come screaming about alien superweapons with no evidence, we would have been dismissed as warmongers. Instead, we built our capabilities, gathered data, and waited for the right moment. The trial, Lyra realized. You let the Council put you on trial. Let them threaten containment. Also, you could reveal this information when 17,000 species were watching. Marcus smiled slightly. Timing is important in diplomacy. We also needed to know something else. Whether the Council would cooperate or continue trying to suppress us. Because what I'm about to show you will change everything. The screen shifted again, displaying new data. A transmission, decoded by human cryptographers working with alien mathematics. Lyra read the message, and her entire body began. Trembling. Harvest protocol initiated. Designation. Milky Way galaxy. Estimated completion 200. Cycles. Resistance is futile. Convergence is inevitable. This was transmitted 3 days ago. Ava said quietly. Not to us. To the other spheres. All 73 that we have confirmed, and likely more we have not found. They are coordinating. Preparing for harvest. Harvest, Lyra repeated. They intend to harvest the entire galaxy. Every star, Marcus confirmed. Every planet converted to raw materials. Every species. He did not finish. Lyra moved to the window, looking out at the stars. So many stars. Each one potentially hiding a dark sphere, a weapon platform, a harvester waiting to consume everything. You must tell the Council, she said. Immediately. Every second wasted. We will, Marcus assured her. But first, I need your help. Your speech was going to condemn humanity. Now I am asking you to do the opposite. Stand with us. Because we are going to need every species, every resource. Every brilliant mind working together, if we are going to survive what is coming. Lyra looked at him, then at Captain Reeves on the screen, then back at the stars. She thought about her prepared speech, about humanity's aggression, their paranoia, their militarization. Now she understood. They had not been paranoid. They had been paying attention while everyone else looked away. I will help, she said. But I need access to all your data. If I am going to convince the Council, I need proof that cannot be dismissed. Marcus handed her a data chip. Everything we know is here. But Representative Lyra, once you see it all, you cannot unsee it. The nightmares start immediately. Lyra took the chip, her hand steady despite her fear. I am Velothi. We remember everything. Nightmares are just information we have not finished processing. She looked Marcus in the eye. Now let us go save the galaxy. High Arbiter Velen's private chambers existed in the restricted core of the Council Station, where only senior leadership could enter. Lyra had never expected to be summoned here, especially not at 3 a.m. by human time measurement, when most species rested. She stood before Velen's energy form, which pulsed with an unsettling purple color. 5 other figures waited in shadows around the chamber. Representative Kral of the Thrasins, Chancellor Mort of the Silicon Collective, Ambassador Wex of the Hive Concordat, General Thane of the Kryn Dominion, and someone else, a figure hidden behind environmental shielding that Lyra could not identify. Sit, young one, Velen said, though the synthetic voice carried no warmth. We must discuss your new alliance with the humans. Lyra felt her skin shift to cautious yellow. The data they provided is genuine. I have verified every calculation, cross-referenced every astronomical observation. The threat is real. We know it is real, Kral interrupted, his forked tongue tasting the air. We have had intelligence about stellar anomalies for decades. We simply chose not to investigate them thoroughly. The words hit Lyra like a physical blow. You knew? You knew and did nothing? Not the full extent. Chancellor Mort's crystalline form chimed. But enough to be concerned. Enough to quietly build defenses while maintaining the appearance of peaceful unity. Lyra's mind raced through implications. The defense grid protecting council space. It is not just for asteroids and natural phenomena. Very perceptive, General Thane said, his armored bulk shifting. The Kryn have been manufacturing what the public believes are mining platforms in deep space. In reality, they are fortress stations capable of defending against significant military threats. But if you knew, Lyra said, her voice rising despite efforts to remain calm, why put humanity on trial? Why threaten them with containment when they were preparing to fight the same enemy? The cloaked figure spoke for the first time, its voice filtered through multiple translation layers. Because we needed to know what they knew. More importantly, we needed to see how they would react under pressure. Velen's form shifted to calmer blue. The humans are not the first species to discover the harvesters, Representative Lyra. They are the 7th. Of the previous 6, 4 attempted to flee toward the galaxy's edge, abandoning their homeworlds and hoping the harvesters would overlook them. 2 sealed their borders and refused all contact. What happened to them? The 4 who fled have not been heard from in centuries. Ambassador Wex said, his hive mind speaking through multiple mouths in eerie synchronization. We assume they found sanctuary beyond our sensor range, or were harvested. The 2 who isolated themselves. One emerged 20 years ago as a species-wide Gestalt consciousness. They sacrificed individual identity to increase their collective processing power. They now exist as a single mind spread across multiple worlds. The other became the harvesters, the cloaked figure finished, or merged with whatever created this threat. Their technology shows similarities to the sphere constructs. Lyra felt her neural network struggling to process the magnitude of information. So humanity is the first species to discover the threat and choose to fight? Not just fight, Velen corrected. They immediately began preparing for large-scale defensive warfare while simultaneously seeking alliances. Most species, when faced with extinction, either freeze, flee, or isolate. Humans defaulted to building weapons and finding allies. It is a remarkable psychological response. It is also dangerous, Krall added, which is why we needed to test them. Would they use their military power to threaten the Council? Would they attempt to seize control? Or would they share intelligence and cooperate? You put them on trial, Lyra said slowly, to see if they would respond with force or diplomacy. Exactly, Velen confirmed. Ambassador Webb could have ordered his warship to attack, could have used their knowledge as leverage for power. Instead, he endured judgment, presented evidence, and requested cooperation. It suggests humanity, despite their weapons, can be trusted. Which brings us to why you are here, Chancellor Mort said. The crystalline being projected a holographic star map showing council space, with certain regions highlighted in red. These zones show unusual energy signatures, consistent with pre-activation phases of harvester spheres. Based on human data and our observations, we estimate 15 to 30 years before harvest operations begin in earnest. 30 years, Lyra whispered. That is impossible. The Council moves slowly. Committees, approvals, debates. We cannot mobilize the entire galaxy in 30 years. Which is why we are not using normal channels, General Thane said. He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show a new organizational chart with both Council and human representatives at its center. We are forming the Sentinel Initiative, a classified operation funded by diverting resources from existing military budgets. The public will not know the full threat until we have defenses ready. You want me to work with humans in secret? Lyra asked. We want you as our liaison, Velen said. You are young, adaptable, and you have gained Marcus Webb's trust. You will work directly with human military command to coordinate research, defense construction, and threat assessment. Officially, you remain on the Council as a junior representative. Unofficially, you become the bridge between two civilizations. A spy, Lyra said. A coordinator, Ambassador Wex corrected. Humans have technology and tactical thinking we lack. We have resources, industrial capacity, and institutional knowledge they need. Together, we might survive. Separately, we all become raw materials for harvester construction projects. Lyra looked at each shadowy figure in turn. The leaders of galactic civilization, operating in secret, making decisions affecting trillions without their knowledge or consent. It contradicted everything the Council supposedly represented: transparency, democratic process, representative governance. But the alternative was extinction. What about the other species? She asked. The thousands in the assembly hall, do they not deserve to know? They will know, Velen said. But not yet. If we announce the threat now, before plans and defenses are ready, it will cause mass panic, economic collapse, possibly civil war as species fight over resources and territory. We need time to prepare. How much time? 5 years, the cloaked figure said. 5 years to build infrastructure for defending key systems. Then we begin gradual public information campaigns. By the time full mobilization is necessary, the population will be psychologically prepared. Lyra's skin cycled through several colors as she processed the request. And if I refuse? You will not, Krall said simply. Because you have seen the data. You know what is coming. And you know someone must do this work, even if it means operating in shadows. He was right. Lyra had reviewed the projections. 73 confirmed spheres, each deploying millions of combat vessels. Against that force, galactic civilization would last approximately 6 months in conventional warfare. Perhaps less. I have conditions, she said finally. Velen's form pulsed with what might have been approval. Name them. First, complete access to all historical records about previous species encounters with harvesters. If I am coordinating with humans, I need to know everything you know. Second, authorization to recruit a team of people I trust from different species. We cannot succeed with just humans in council leadership. We need diverse perspectives. Agreed, Velen said. And third? Third, if I discover the council is using this situation to consolidate power or eliminate political rivals under the guise of security, I will expose everything. I will work in shadows, but I will not be part of a conspiracy that harms the people we are trying to protect. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Velen's form shifted to warm gold. You remind me why I supported your appointment despite your youth. You have idealism balanced with pragmatism. Rare qualities. Your conditions are acceptable. Welcome to the Sentinel Initiative, Representative Lyra. Your first assignment is meeting with Human Military Command in 72 hours. They will share battle plans for defending the inner core worlds. As Lyra left the chamber, she could not shake the feeling that she had crossed a line she could never uncross. The galaxy had changed 3 days ago when the Harbinger appeared. But for her, the real change happened tonight. She had become part of the machinery of power. Whether that made her a savior or something darker, only time would tell. The human research facility was not what Lyra expected. Instead of a military base bristling with weapons, it resembled a university campus with clean architecture and maintained gardens. The only hints of its true purpose were the orbital defense platform visible in the sky and the subtle shimmer of a planetary. Shield generator Marcus Webb met her at the landing pad. Looking tired but determined, Welcome to Forge Station Alpha. It is not on any official charts. We would appreciate if it stayed that way. Another secret, Lyra said, unable to hide the edge in her voice. Marcus noticed her tone and paused. You have been briefed by the Shadow Council. Velen and the others told you to work in secret, to not cause panic, to trust the system. Lyra's skin flashed surprised orange. How did you know? Because I went through the same meeting 3 months ago, when we first contacted them about the harvesters. They told us the same things. Work quietly. Do not alarm civilians. Trust the process. He started walking toward the main building. The difference is, we told them no. What? We are cooperating with the Sentinel Initiative because it makes strategic sense, Marcus explained. But we are not lying to our people. Humanity knows about the harvesters. Every colony, every ship, every citizen has access to the data. We believe informed populations make better decisions than frightened populations following leaders blindly. That is not what Council leadership wants. I know, and we are ignoring them. Marcus held the door open for her. Come, there is someone you need to meet. They descended through 3 security levels, each more sophisticated than the last. Finally, they entered a vast underground laboratory where dozens of scientists worked. Lyra recognized several species. A Novari mathematician, a Kryn weapons specialist, even a rogue Silicon collective node that had apparently left Chancellor. Mort's faction dot at the center stood a woman in her 60s, with gray hair tied back, covered in sensor gel. She was interfacing directly with a massive holographic display showing weapon designs that made Lyra's head ache just looking at them. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Marcus introduced, Chief of Experimental Warfare Division. Elena, this is Representative Lyra, our new liaison from the Council. Elena disconnected from the display and turned to face them. Her eyes were sharp, analytical, measuring Lyra with scientific precision. The Velothi historian who is going to condemn us for being warmongers. Changed your mind? The data changed my mind, Lyra replied carefully. Good, because I am about to show you why humanity became warmongers, and why we need every species in the galaxy to do the same. Elena gestured at the holographic display. This is our analysis of harvester combat vessels based on long-range scans. They are efficient, deadly, and operate on principles we are still trying to understand. But they have weaknesses. Weaknesses? Lyra moved closer. The projections suggest their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. In some ways, yes, Elena agreed. Their energy generation is unmatched. Their coordination is perfect, true hive mind operation. But they are predictable. They follow patterns. They optimize for efficiency rather than adaptability. She pulled up new data. We have been running simulations for 3 years. In every scenario where we fight conventionally, fleet against fleet, station against station, we lose within 6 months. But if we change the nature of battle, the display shifted, showing a tactical scenario that made Lyra's skin flush with alarm. You want to lure them into star systems rigged with stellar explosives? Among other approaches, Elena said. The harvesters feed on stars. So we poison their food supply. We turn stars into weapons. We make them regret every system they enter. That is insane, Lyra breathed. You are talking about destroying entire solar systems. Already uninhabited systems, carefully selected, Marcus clarified. And yes, it is extreme. But the harvesters do not value life the way we do. They see the universe as raw materials waiting to be processed. So we show them some materials are too dangerous to touch. Elena pulled up another schematic. This is Project Beacon. We have developed a modification to faster-than-light drives that creates false signatures. Phantom fleets that appear real to harvester sensors. We can make them think we have 10 times our actual force. Deception, Lyra said. Psychological warfare against an enemy that might not have psychology. Every intelligence has psychology, Elena countered. Even hive minds make decisions based on cost-benefit analysis. We just need to make victory cost more than they are willing to pay. Show her the crown, Marcus said quietly. Elena hesitated, then nodded. She activated a new display. Lyra felt her blood go cold. The hologram showed a megastructure under construction. A ring surrounding a star, but different from harvester spheres. This one bristled with weapons. Thousands of them. And at its core, a device that made energy readings spike off every scale. Project Crown, Elena said softly. A stellar conversion weapon. It takes a star's GY output and focuses it into a directed beam, capable of cutting through a harvester sphere in approximately 4 minutes. We have built 3 so far, hidden in deep space. We are aiming for 20 before the harvest begins. You are building sphere killers, Lyra whispered, matching them weapon for weapon. We are trying, Elena said. But even with 20 crowns, we are outnumbered. Which is why we need the Council's support. Not permission, resources, raw materials, industrial capacity, personnel. She looked at Lyra directly. Can you get us that? Or are you here to tell us to slow down, form committees, and study the problem for 5 more years? Lyra felt the weight of the question. Everything she had been taught about the Council's careful, deliberate approach suddenly seemed inadequate. Humans had been preparing for 3 years, while the Council held debates. The Council's shadow leadership has authorized the Sentinel Initiative, she said carefully. They have allocated resources, but through official channels, which means delays and oversight. Useless, Marcus said flatly. But, Lyra continued, I may have access to faster channels. My species maintains trade networks outside Council bureaucracy, and I have contacts among younger representatives from various species. People who will not ask too many questions if the right incentives are provided. Elena's expression shifted to something like respect. You are offering to help us smuggle resources? I am offering to ensure materials get where they are needed without 3 years of approval processes, Lyra corrected. There is a difference. Marcus smiled. Welcome to humanity's way of doing business, Representative. Bureaucracy is just another obstacle to overcome. Show me everything, Lyra said. All your projects, all your plans. If I am coordinating supply lines, I need to know what you are building. For 6 hours, Lyra toured humanity's preparations for war. She saw the Javelin project, stealth missiles designed to strike harvester spheres from extreme range. She witnessed development of bioengineered soldiers with enhanced reflexes and healing, volunteers who chose modification to give humanity an edge. She reviewed plans for fortress worlds, massive shield generators, and evacuation protocols for indefensible colonies. It was overwhelming. And necessary. As they concluded the tour in an observation deck, watching construction drones work on a new warship, Lyra turned to Marcus. Your people know all this? They know what is being built in their name? Every detail, Marcus confirmed. We vote on major projects, argue about ethics. Some oppose the modifications. Others think we are not moving fast enough. But yes, we know. And we have chosen to fight. The Council will eventually need to do the same, Lyra said. When they realize peaceful coexistence with harvesters is impossible, when diplomacy fails because the enemy does not negotiate, they will need to become what they have always feared. Warmongers? Survivors, Lyra corrected. And when that time comes, humanity will need to teach them how. Not just the technology, but the mindset. How to make hard choices. How to sacrifice now to ensure there is a later. Marcus was quiet. That is a heavy burden you are taking on. teaching the galaxy to be like us. No, Lyra said, watching construction drones work with perfect precision. Teaching the galaxy to survive. There is a difference. She looked at him. My people remember everything. Every kindness. Every atrocity. Every choice made in crisis. When this is over, if we survive, the galaxy will remember humanity, either as saviors who showed us how to fight, or as the species that dragged everyone into a war we could not win. Which do you think we will be? Lyra's skin shifted through several colors before settling on determined blue. I think you will be whatever you need to be. That is what makes you dangerous. It is also what might save us all. Outside, another warship came online, lights flickering against the stars. One ship among hundreds. Still not enough. But it was a start. 18 months later, Lyra stood before the full Galactic Council Assembly, preparing to shatter 17,000 species' understanding of reality. The chamber was packed. Every representative present, knowing something significant was about to be announced, but not understanding what. Marcus Webb sat in the diplomatic gallery, watching. Dr. Elena Vasquez was present via hologram, her team ready to provide technical support. And high above in orbit, Captain Ava Reeves commanded not just the Harbinger, but a fleet of 12 human warships. A quiet reminder that humanity no longer asked permission. High Arbiter Velen opened the session. Representative Lyra of Veleth has requested emergency session protocols. The floor is hers. Lyra stepped into the central speaking position, feeling every eye upon her. Her skin cycled through colors rapidly before she forced it to calm. Professional blue. Honored representatives, she began, 18 months ago. Humanity was brought before this council to answer for their military buildup and territorial expansion. Many viewed them as a threat. Some still do. She paused. What I am about to tell you will reframe everything you thought you knew about that threat. She activated holographic displays, showing Harvester Sphere data. All 73 confirmed sites, plus 16 more discovered recently. For the past year and a half, I have been working with human researchers and a coalition of council species in a classified program called the Sentinel Initiative. Our purpose is to investigate and prepare defenses against an existential threat to all galactic civilization. Murmurs started immediately. Lyra spoke over them. What humanity discovered was not isolated. It is a systematic harvesting operation, consuming stars for over 1,000 years. We estimate between 80 and 100 sphere constructs throughout the galaxy, each one capable of deploying between 10 and 15 million combat vessels. The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded proof. Others demanded to know why they had not been informed. A few stared in horror at the data. Order. Velen's voice cut through chaos. Representative Lyra, continue. The Harvester fleet is dormant, but not inactive, Lyra continued. 3 days ago, we detected coordinated activation sequences from 47 different sphere sites. Based on their movement patterns and energy allocation, we calculate the harvest will begin in this sector in approximately 8 years. She let that sink in. 8 years. Less time than many species' election cycles. During 18 months of the Sentinel Initiative, we have accomplished the following. Construction of 42 fortress stations in defensive positions around critical worlds. Development of new weapon systems capable of threatening harvester vessels. Evacuation plans for 300 colony worlds that cannot be adequately defended. And most critically, formation of a unified defense doctrine involving representatives from 64 species. Representative Kroll stood, his forearms gesturing dramatically. You dare come before this council and announce you have been conducting military operations in secret? Building weapons? Making plans affecting trillions without their consent? Yes, Lyra said simply. Because the alternative was announcing the threat prematurely and watching civilization collapse into panic. Would you have preferred mass riots? Economic collapse? Species fleeing in every direction while we scrambled to organize response. We could have managed, Crawl began. No, you could not, Marcus Webb said, standing in the gallery. The Council takes 3 years to approve changes to trade regulations. You expected to mobilize galactic defense faster than that. Humans do not have authority to. We are not asking for authority, Marcus interrupted. We are informing you that defensive infrastructure exists. You can either coordinate with it or be left out. Your choice. The chamber fell silent, shocked by the bluntness. Dr. Vasquez's hologram activated. Let me make this clear. The Harvester fleet, when mobilized, will outnumber all military forces in Council space by approximately 4,000 to 1. You cannot negotiate with them. You cannot outrun them. You cannot hide. Your only option is to fight. And fighting requires weapons, coordination, and willingness to make sacrifices most of you have never contemplated. What kind of sacrifices? Asked Representative Nischel, the mathematician. Alana's hologram shifted to show strategic maps. We will need to evacuate at least 1,000 colony worlds. Worlds that cannot be defended, but whose populations can be relocated to fortress systems. We will need to convert 30% of industrial capacity to military production. We will need conscription protocols across multiple species. And we will need to accept that some systems will be designated tactical loss zones. Areas we will not defend because resources required outweigh strategic value. You are talking about abandoning billions, someone shouted. I am talking about saving trillions, Elena countered. War is not about saving everyone. It is about saving as many as possible. If we try to defend everything, we save nothing. Lyra watched the chamber react. Horror, denial, anger. All predictable. All understandable. And all ultimately irrelevant. I know this is difficult, she said, her voice cutting through noise. I know many feel betrayed that decisions were made without input. But I need you to understand something. 18 months ago, I was like you. I believed in process, in procedure, in careful deliberation that has defined council governance for millennia. Then all the data. I worked with humans who had been preparing for this war for years while we debated their right to exist. And I realized something. She looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many representatives as possible. We were wrong. Not about ideals. Peace, cooperation, unity are still worth fighting for. But we were wrong about how to achieve them. We created a system so focused on avoiding conflict that we forgot how to face unavoidable threats. Humanity did not make the harvesters. They simply recognized them and responded. And for that, we put them on trial. So what do you propose? High Arbiter Velen asked. I propose we ratify the Sentinel Initiative retroactively, Lyra said. Give legal authority to what has already been built. Then expand it massively. Every species contributes according to capabilities. Industrial species focus on production. Scientific species focus on research. Military species focus on training and tactics. We create a true unified command structure with representatives from all major species, including humans. And who commands this force? Crawl demanded. A council, Marcus said. Not the Galactic Council, but a war council. Smaller, more focused, with authority to make rapid decisions. We nominate candidates from proven military leaders across the galaxy. They serve 5-year terms with civilian oversight to prevent military dictatorship. You have thought this through, Velen observed. We have had 18 months, Lyra said. Now we need the rest of you to catch up. Quickly. The debate lasted 4 days. Species argued about jurisdiction, authority, resources. Some threatened to leave the council entirely. Others demanded protection guarantees. A few refused to believe the threat was real until research teams confirmed data independently. But eventually, gradually, consensus formed. Not because everyone agreed, but because the alternative, doing nothing, was unacceptable to enough representatives to form a majority. The Sentinel Initiative was ratified. The War Council was established, and the galaxy finally began preparing for war. On the final day, Lyra found herself in the same observation deck where Marcus had first shown her the truth. Captain Ava Reeves had returned to the station and stood beside her, both women watching the stars. 8 years, Ava said quietly. That is not much time. No, Lyra agreed. It is not. Do you think we can do it? Build enough defenses? Train enough soldiers? Save enough people? Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Her neural network processed probabilities, scenarios, potential outcomes. The numbers were not encouraging. I think, she finally said, we will save some. And those we save will remember. Will learn. Will become something stronger than what we are now. She glanced at Ava. Your species did that 400 years ago. You saw danger and transformed yourselves into something capable of facing it. We are still transforming, Ava said. Still learning. Still figuring out how to be both human and warrior. It is not easy. No, Lyra said. But it is necessary. They stood in silence, watching as more ships arrived at the council station. Reinforcements from dozens of species, all coming together to form something unprecedented. A true galactic alliance, not formed by peace treaties or diplomatic agreements, but forged in recognition of a common enemy. You halted your speech that day, Ava said suddenly. Marcus told me. You were going to condemn humanity, warn the council about us. Then everything changed. Everything changed before that, Lyra corrected. It changed the moment Harbinger appeared, and I realized humanity was not the threat I thought they were. She looked at the human captain. You were the warning. Not about humanity being dangerous. About the universe being dangerous. And humanity being the only species brave enough to say it out loud. Or crazy enough. Ava said with a slight smile. Perhaps there is no difference, Lyra replied. Somewhere in deep space, 89 harvester spheres continued their activation sequences. Millions of combat vessels powered up systems. An ancient intelligence that had harvested thousands of galaxies prepared to add one more to its collection. It did not know. This galaxy would be different. That one species had seen the pattern and refused to accept extinction. That they had lit a fire in darkness and dared others to add their own flames. The harvesters would come. That was inevitable, but for the first time in galactic history, they would find something waiting. A civilization that had learned to fight, to sacrifice, to stand together against the dark. The harvest would come, and the galaxy would be ready. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.